Hello and welcome to WION. Now, the top story you're tracking at this moment comes from Karnataka, India, where a shocking video of a woman being molested on the streets of capital Bengaluru on the New Year's Eve has emerged. In the CCTV video, a man is seen molesting the woman as she walks home alone. When the victim protests, she is slapped by the molester, and all this happens even as bystanders look on. Bengaluru, which was considered one of the safest cities for women in India, was shamed on New Year's Eve when several women who had gathered at the busy MG Road to celebrate New Year's complained of mass molestation by hooligans. We're now joined by our correspondent Nishita from Bengaluru. Nishita, what a shocking video. I mean, it begs to ask the question, when will women actually be safe in this country?
Absolutely, without doubt, Sahil. Apart from the mass molestation incident that was reported recently on New Year's Eve, this video has again sent shockwaves across the city. Now, this particular incident was reported from the Kamanahalli locality of the city, and this girl in question, she was finishing her New Year celebrations and she was walking home. She had reached her locality and had just deboarded her daughter and was walking home, and that's when she was accosted by the offenders, and they stopped their vehicle. They took a U-turn and they got off, the molester got off the two-wheeler that he was riding on, and he first hugged her, and you can clearly see the girl trying to resist. She's trying to get away from him. At one point she even tries to slap him, and he seems to be getting more aggressive even as she is trying to resist him. And eventually, when she refuses to come with them, when she refuses to get on the bike with them, he slings her onto the road. The girl then heads home. Now, the next morning, we understand that the girl and her friend approached the house where this entire footage was recorded on the CCTV camera. And as she approached the residents of the house, they showed her the footage. They even asked her to approach the police. And when she did not want to approach the police in this regard, they decided to pass the video on to the media, at least, so that more awareness can be created. And at least if the police can know of this particular incident, now they can file a suo moto case as well. We understand that so far the girl has not approached with any complaints. The girl and her friend were very clear that they did not want to approach the police, as is the case with all the victims of the mass molestation incident that was reported on Brigade Road and MG Road on New Year's Eve. There seems to be a lack of faith that these women have in the system to actually approach the police and seek legal help against their perpetrators. So far, there has been no details on who the accused is, what his name is. There has been no identification as such, as there has been no investigation in this regard. But giving a little more information on the locality where it took place, this is Kamanahalli. It is a new locality. It is a planned locality. It is largely residential, but also has several high-end commercial areas as well. And we understand that this was one of the quieter localities for New Year's Eve. So keeping in mind that the police force in Bengaluru has not been very big in number. They were largely distributed in MG Road, Brigade Road areas, in Indira Nagar, where you have many of the pubs and clubs, and also for drunken driving checking. And we understand that there was barely any patrolling done as far as the Hoysala vans are concerned, and these perpetrators have taken advantage of the same. Even as far as the mass molestation incidents are concerned, now we understand that Praveen Sood, the police commissioner, tweeted late last night saying that they have filed an FIR and investigations have been launched, as they have found evidence on the footage of these 45 CCTV cameras that were installed on Brigade Road as well as MG Road for illegal confinement, for molestation, as well as attempt to robbery. So investigations have begun after the massive hue and cry that occurred following media reports on the molestation incidents that took place on Brigade Road and MG Road. And now we have to see what development takes place as far as the Kamanahalli incident is concerned, Sahil.
Nishita, this is also a student area. Apparently there are 4 colleges in the vicinity. I mean, surely tighter security measures are needed for an area like this.
Absolutely. It is a largely student area. It's also an expat area. You have a lot of foreign nationals who are living in this particular locality, Sahil. And definitely this calls for more security of the area. Probably another opportunity for Bengaluru police to really go ahead and urge the government of Karnataka to beef up the police force of the city, considering the fact that we have been asking it for several years now, but nothing much has been done. The city has been growing at an alarming rate. The population has been increasing of Bengaluru, but the police-to-population ratio has barely improved from what we had seen several years ago. So this is definitely an opportunity for the police force to seek more recruitment for their force from the administration as well. And on the other hand, this is also a moment for them to ponder as to why these victims are not agreeing to come forward and file a complaint. They feel that more damage will be caused than good will come out of it. We have seen in the past, not just in Bengaluru, but across the country, how women have not been very comfortable in approaching the administration for help. Uncomfortable questions are asked. Victim bashing is done. We saw our own Home Minister, Dr. G. Parmeshwar, going on to blame westernization and Western clothes for the same, for the incident that took place on Brigade Road and MG Road. Even the mayor of Bengaluru questioned why women have to wear short clothes and go out and celebrate New Year's Eve, and why youngsters just stay behind closed doors. Such questions only reinforce the fact that the administration is not in tandem with the incidents that are taking place on the streets of Bengaluru, why these incidents are taking place and how they can be prevented. And these statements of victim bashing is only causing further embarrassment to the victims, who are now absolutely not coming forward with any complaints, Sahil.
Nishita, also bystanders just looking by, not doing anything. Not a single person came to the aid of this woman. What does this tell you about people's mindset?
Absolutely. It's not just about the perpetrator, but also the one who watches, who is to be blamed in such cases. Many of these bystanders choose to not get involved in such cases because they know that it will eventually turn to a police case, and they will also be quizzed and they will also be grilled, and so they choose to stay away. Of course, there is no reason to do so, but more often than not, we have seen in Bengaluru, the crowd is not very proactive in case of incidents of molestation or sexual abuse or any such incidents happening in a public place. We have seen the crowds largely been hands-off. They have not tried to approach or help the woman. Even in this particular case, although it's happening at 2:30 in the morning, it is happening in full public view. Also, you have street lights that are lit up. It is not a dark alley. There are vehicles passing by. It is not, considering it's New Year's Eve, it's not even very late in the night. Considering this is a student area, you know that there are crowds out on the streets. So people have witnessed this particular incident but have chosen to stay away. So one, it is the fact that it was New Year's Eve and it seems like all hell broke loose on the streets of Bengaluru. And on the other hand, we see that these perpetrators took advantage of the fact that there was lesser police patrolling on the streets, because largely the police were focused on checking drunken driving and other populated areas. And also being rest assured that the public too won't come to the rescue of these victims, Sahil.
Okay, Nishita, I'm just going to ask you to hold on. We will come back to you. Joining us now is women activist Tina Sharma. Tina, what a tragic incident, what a shocking incident. What does this tell us? I mean, considering that Bengaluru is supposed to be one of the safest cities for women, but something like this still happens. What are your thoughts on this?
I am not getting your voice. Can you speak a little louder?
Yeah, Tina, I just said that considering that Bengaluru is one of the safest, considered to be one of the safest cities for women, we are still getting incidents like this. What does this tell us about the current situation in the city?
See, it is nothing unusual, and I think usually we get a lot of incidents on the road, even in the families, for girls molestation and sexual harassment. So it's this mindset has to change, political will and mindset. Till the time it is not changing, execution is not going proper in the society, I think things will not work out. and police has already failed. Since we've also heard that police was there, 1,500 policemen were there when this incident occurred. So the system has failed, and police and political will has also failed. So you'll keep getting these incidents, you'll keep getting these issues on and off till the time we don't get serious on women issues.
Also, just tell us like a little bit, a lot of reports coming in that authorities are saying, oh, that, these women should not have been dressed in short skirts and stuff like that. But what sort of mindset is that? What does this tell us about Indian authorities who are ready to blame it on, the way the clothes people wear rather than, taking serious steps on to deal with these issues?
Absolutely not acceptable. I must tell you that this Abu Asmi, who's been talking all this nonsense.
By the way,
Yes, go on.
Yeah. So this Abu Asmi, who'd been talking about all this rubbish and who'd been, talking about our freedom and other things, has one daughter-in-law who's also been a Bollywood actress, Aisha Takia.
Okay.
Can you hear me now?
Okay, to get some more perspective on this, we are now joined by Arshit Seshadri. Arshit, what more can you tell us about this shocking incident?
Sahil, we see this dramatic video and it's just horrific to see that a woman, her safety endangered on the streets of Bengaluru, the southern city in India, coming back home from possibly a New Year's get-together, a gathering to ring in 2017. She's walking the streets around 2:30 in the morning from the latest media reports, getting off, and then we see two men on that dramatic video, one man jumping off the bike and then attacking or molesting her. So I'm joined now by our latest anchor and reporter joining us all the way from South Africa, Inga Mzaleni. Inga, thank you so much for joining us. We see that video and it's so horrific to see that woman there molested. As a woman who's just been in India now less than a week, how does that make you feel in terms of safety and things like that? What do you think?
Gender-based violence is a huge problem around the world, and unfortunately women are the most vulnerable to this crime. Now, watching a video like that, it makes me wonder, first of all, what is the society doing to prevent this? Is there any action? What is the society's reaction to this before we first point to the government? Because if this woman is being attacked and she's screaming, is there anyone who is watching or close by who can hear her and rush to help? That is just my first concern, first of all, that what is society's reaction to all of this?
And as you mentioned, what is the police doing? What exactly are they doing to protect the women, protect people? Apparently in Bengaluru, there were hundreds of police officers obviously vigilant looking for things like this. In another incident at MG Road, Mahatma Gandhi Road in Bengaluru, another situation where some women claimed they were assaulted, there was sexual incidents that took place. What exactly are the police doing and what is the public doing? In that video, we saw some of the bystanders, this woman walking down the street, these two men sitting on a bike, one jumping off, then attacking her, groping her, kissing her. We see some people that are walking, doing absolutely nothing. And it just sort of begs the question, what is society doing? Do they need to wake up and help out? Why were there no screams? Why were there no calls to law enforcement? Quite a scary situation, right?
Well, comparing this situation with South Africa protects women's rights. Women in South Africa are well protected. We have 16 days of activism, which leads to December holidays. So if you do anything to a woman that time, you will face a disciplinary action, obviously, from the government. Now, I think that the main thing, first of all, is to review the women's rights protection. Exactly. What is the government saying concerning women's rights? And educate, obviously, the people, because Indian men feel like they have a right to do this to women, which and it doesn't make sense exactly. Why do they feel like they have a right and they can get away with it? And also increase of police presence. Obviously, maybe patrolling cars all around the city, and especially in large gatherings like the New Year's Eve celebration. Yes, there were police present, but because India has a large population and everyone was there to celebrate New Year, it will not be easy to get the suspects. And I believe so far no one has been arrested, no arrest made yet.
Right, right. No arrest, nothing that we've seen, at least as of this report, that no one has been taken into custody, and we haven't seen enough from police to be like, this is what we're doing. this is what we're going to do to stop these attackers. And that certainly begs the question about women's safety, not just in Bengaluru, but we've had cases even here in India, New Delhi, the Nirbhaya case, many of the gang rapes and things like that that have made unfortunate headlines around the world about the safety of women. I have many friends who want to come to visit India. The first thing they say, how safe is it, especially for women?
Exactly. Well, personally, I don't feel scared at all, but I think that there's more that has to be done from the government side and of course the society, because we cannot really put everything on the government, because it really does not make sense that you're going to watch someone being attacked by a man and you're just going to think it's none of my business. There has to be some sense of responsibility from the society as well. I think that is the number one thing. And also the government has to review women's rights protection and also increase police presence.
And you mentioned a good point about what people are doing, the bystanders. Forget about the government or the police. What are the people they're doing? How are they taking action? The only thing that I could maybe say to sort of play devil's advocate, maybe concerned for their own safety, worried about that. But everybody has a phone nowadays. It's easy to call police or authorities, escalate it. You can record the incident. Thank God this was caught on camera. So there's obviously enough credible evidence to see exactly what happened. But could we perhaps learn something from other countries, like you mentioned, South Africa, the West, where some of these laws to protect women are much more stricter, so that those attackers are scared that, if they are caught doing this, the punishment is severe? What are some things that the Indian authorities could do, maybe learning from their Western counterparts?
Well, first of all, they have to have commissions that look into women's rights and women's protection, and organize some commissions to protect women, especially to look specifically on women, to have a different clause whereby they say, okay, this is focusing on women, and how are we going to protect women, first of all? And also, is there something that maybe Indian women are not doing well that causes the men to kind of have this kind of behavior towards them? What is it that is fueling this behavior? Because now the escalation in number of incidents now is raising concerns on what is it that is being done. So what I think India can learn from South Africa is, first of all, the law on women's rights. And also the society, I feel like the society as well has to play a key important role. I keep on emphasizing.
I'm going to have to interrupt Archit for a little while. We are now joined by Jayanti Datta, a child and women activist. Jayanti, tell us what measures should the government be taking to help women feel safer?
I think there has to be a political will. We have the laws in their place, but this kind of sordid tales are repeated way in and way out. And unless and until there is a kind of an immediate reaction by the police authorities and there is a kind of a deterrent punishment, this is not going to stop. And, coming up with these kind of irresponsible statements by the authorities sitting on the legal positions that, the women have to be responsible because they are wearing this, they are wearing that. How long can you play naive? This has been going on and we have not come up with a sincere political will and given the punishment to say that this, if you do, this is going to be the reaction you're going to be meted with by the legal authorities. It's high time you should, not close your eyes, not do the blame game, and come up with the stringent punishment for this kind of nonsense.
Jayanti, I'm going to ask you another question. This is Archit here. We wanted to find out, from the incidences that we've seen in India, many cases like the case with Nirbhaya in Delhi, a stereotype or concern for women's safety in the country where many people are just afraid to send their daughters out at night, sending women out, and incidences like this certainly sparked that concern for women's safety. What can women do to protect themselves?
Well, we've been doing whatever we can, but somehow there is a laid-back attitude by the authorities. You see what happened in Damini's case. Every person who was concerned, who was intelligent, who was having some sense of humanity got into the street and wanted a deterrent punishment. Instead of that, the Supreme Court intervenes, and they stall the punishment for these rapists. So it's high time. You cannot play this game of being more friendly, more positive towards the perpetrator and not really victim friendly. It's high time you should come out with, and as I said, the police forces are there, women organizations are there, women's cells being activated, but actions is zero.
Can I also ask you a
This is
question,
high time.
Jayanti, about, you see the video, we see the woman walking towards her home, understandably, or friend's place. We see the two men in that scooter, one jumping, then attacking her, then trying to molest her. She fights back. Did she do the right thing? Is there something she could have done, perhaps? I mean, we can't hear the audio, but at least from the visual perspective, what do you think she did right, and what should she have done, if anything? Can you sort of walk us through that whole episode to help our viewers?
Don't play into the hands of the crowd, When you find this kind of non-vigilant crowd is there and the support system is almost negligent, you should not walk into that place. You should be more careful about your own welfare, because you cannot trust the rest of the authorities. So you have to be, it's high time you have to be responsible, see where you are trading in, and see if the protective environment is stringent enough, walk in. If not, don't go there without your own protections.
All right, Jayanti, thank you so much for your update. We'll certainly check in with you. We appreciate that perspective. We're now going to another woman activist to get perspective on this, Kavita Krishnan. Kavita, thank you so much for joining us. Certainly a very huge issue, a hot topic that we're trying to understand, decipher, and get to the bottom of this. We see that dramatic video. In Western societies, we see women carrying mace, pepper spray, things like that to protect themselves. This woman certainly seemed like she was just caught off guard, but we saw those bystanders obviously looking there, not doing anything. What should have happened there? She fought off her attackers. How surprised are you by this video in Bengaluru?
I have not seen the video.
Well, let me walk you through the video, Kavita. Let me walk you through the video real quickly, and also for our viewers. You see a woman walking back late in the night, understandably after New Year's gathering in Bengaluru. She walks in. There is a scooter that pulls up. Two people are there, two men. Then you see one of the men walk off the bike, then jump on her, try to kiss her, molest her. She fights off. Then they try to drag her to that bike. Then she pushes them off. Then one of those attackers spins her to the ground. She certainly probably makes a noise or scream for help. Then the bike drives off. In the background, we see a couple of auto rickshaws and other people there looking and obviously doing nothing. So that's sort of painting the scene for you. From that, how surprised are you that something like this is happening in Bengaluru, typically one of the safer cities in India?
No, I don't think of any of the cities in India or any of the towns in India as being safer than others and all of that, okay? The whole issue is that we do not, our leaders, our political leadership does not assert the unqualified right of women to the city. I'm not sure who it was. Who was the lady speaking just before I came on? Who was the you were interviewing just before I came on?
And Kavita, what about just laws for women? How good are the laws in India to protect women?
I want to comment on what I heard the person before me speaking. So who was that?
Go ahead.
Who was that? Who was that speaking?
The person before was a psychologist, Jayanti Datta.
All right. So I'm really horrified by the fact that even a psychologist will lecture women on how they should not venture out into public spaces and they should not go out into public spaces. So clearly, the mindset of the molesters is shared by the police, it is shared by the Home Minister, it's shared by psychologists, and it is infuriating. Women have an unqualified right to go out at any time of day or night, and they should not be the ones who are told, you be careful, you don't do this and you don't do that. The whole issue is that those who are creating the dangers for women out there, anybody should be locked up, it should be done.
Right.
And the whole idea that somehow women are, so how is the view of the psychologist just expressed just now any different from what Abu Azmi has been saying of the Samajwadi Party or what the Karnataka Home Minister have been saying?
Right,
Across the board, we do not have any consensus on the fact, and our political leadership is the most guilty here. Our Prime Minister, our Chief Ministers of various states, none of them speaks up to say that such victim blaming should have no space in public policy and public discourse.
All right, thank you, Kavita. We appreciate your time.
Thank
you for your perspective. We appreciate your time on that perspective. Let's go back now. Sahil, let me give you the latest on what we are gathering at this point. Certainly that dramatic video emerging from Bengaluru. We see that video. We see a woman walking there. Lots of unanswered questions at this time that investigators will still have to try and figure out what exactly happened. They have that video. They'll have to maybe interview people who lived there, who saw something, and then figure out what action will be taken. So we'll certainly keep an eye on the story. Certainly tragic news coming out of Bengaluru. Sahil, back to you.
Thank you, Archit, for your perspective there. Now, in a horrifying video footage, this is the big news that we are following at this hour. In horrifying video footage, two men on a scooter are seen blocking a woman's path on a street in Bengaluru, getting off and then groping her before escaping just hours into the new year, all while several passers-by are seen stopping but not coming to the woman's rescue. The shocking video has emerged amid a nationwide outcry over women allegedly being molested at a public celebration of New Year's in the IT hub. The incident is said to have taken place around 2:30 a.m. on Sunday and was recorded by a camera installed at the house of Kamanalili 5th Main Road in East Bengaluru. That's the latest information we have right now. Once again, if you're just tuning in, a shocking video has emerged where two men on a scooter are seen blocking a woman's path on a street in Bengaluru, getting off and then groping her before escaping just hours into the new year, all while several passers-by are seen stopping. Now, our colleague Sai Nidhi, who has stayed in the area where the incident took place, is on the phone line with us. Nidhi, I think some responsibility also has to be shared by society as well, surely. I mean, when not a single bystander comes to the rescue of this woman, what does this tell us?
Hi, Sahil. This incident actually took place in Kamnahalli, as Nishtha mentioned earlier. This area is filled with a huge population of students, and there are around 4 or 5 colleges situated there. And due to this few colleges and so many students over here, there are lots of clubs that are coming up over here. I have lived there for 3 years, and trust me, I've never faced a situation ever. But this incident is really horrifying, and this actually shows the vulnerability of women in the city, in that particular area especially. And now the onus actually stands on the police so that the floating population of women is protected in the city.